Yo, are you in the game?
Yo! How you doing? Welcome back for another Strictly Sega this week. You ready for a jam-packed episode? Cause we got it here. Bring it on, brother. Now, we gotta take you back, yo. Take you back to the early 90s. It was a time of bright colours and baggy clothes. Grunge was ruling the airwaves here in Australia, but you could see seeds of rap and R&B forming too.
Basketball was the biggest thing around. Just about every player had a big endorsement, especially shoes. Millions of shoes. It's a time jumping high with your pants down low. So it was really a case of right place, right time when NBA Jam came along.
But it wasn't the only or first 2-on-2 basketball game around. Okay, yo, NBA Jam was a spin-off of the original arch rivals, yo. Now how many of you have played this before, huh? Very, very, very funny basketball game featuring the ability to punch your way through the opponents, making the ball free to steal. While all this was going on, Midway got together with the NBA and licensed Mark Turmel to go and make NBA Jam. Midway was and is a huge American games company, although have had their fair share of troubles due to the demise of the arcade since about, what, 96, 97? I mean, who goes to the arcade these days, huh? The company also shared names with other big companies, like Bowley, who now make poker machines, but were famous for their pinball machines, and Atari, their arcade division. Mark Turmel has made many classics like Smash TV, WWS WrestleMania, NFL Blitz, plus many NBA Jam spin-offs that we will go into a bit later for you. On top of that, he programmed the original game totally in low-level assembly code.
The game was the biggest success in game history. It managed to rack up about $1 billion in 1 year.
$1 billion in 1 year, Nick?
1 year.
That's 3 times the amount that Jurassic Park made.
Shops and places could get about $2,000 a week out of the machine, and it only cost them about $4,000 to buy.
Whoa. Now let's go down to some gameplay then.
The player roster for the original release was featured players from the 92-93 season and had most of the big names. They were also able to use the team logos etc. because they had an official NBA license. However, some players are not included in the game because of other video game endorsements and contractual obligations, including Jordan, Shaq and Barkley. NBA Jam is 2 minutes per quarter of full-on fast-paced 2-on-2 basketball action, with a wide selection of 54 players to choose from, all with defined characteristics. NBA Jam made its way to the console.
Sold about 6 million copies.
6 million copies.
We would just like to remind you that you're watching Strictly Sega.
Jam to this!
NBA Jam was then ported to the consoles in collaboration with Midway, Arena and Acclaim. It wasn't a bad port either, with lots of unlockables, good gameplay, and was the only version to have no loading time, something later versions had a huge problem with. The only problem with the console versions was the gameplay was a bit dull and the graphics were low on detail. If you played this right after playing the arcade, you would feel like the game was just empty. NBA Jam was definitely a rushed out port. An interesting release strategy by Acclaim and Midway was to devise a launch date for the Mega Drive and the SNES at the same time. The event was called Jam Day and was held on March 11, 1993. This was interesting timing because the Mega CD was already out and the re-release with updated 93-94 season players was coming out in November of that year.
The Mega CD release of the game, developed by Iguana, is our least favourite release of the game. Not only are a lot of the great players taken away, but most of the codes don't work and the loading times are just awful. It also seems to be impossible to win this game sometimes. The graphics, although still 16-bit, had a slightly cleaner look which made it smoother and less glitchy. The players became more animated, cleaner and more defined. It also had short FMVs during half time due to the greater space available on the Mega CD. The colour palettes were also improved thanks to the Mega CD hardware. So from here on in, Acclaim were taking firm control over all console versions.
Come back for part 2 and find out where it all went wrong for Acclaim.
Ugly shot! Ugly shot! Grabs the rebound! Stolen! Yeah.